Imagine this. You're standing around a fire. It's 50,000 BC. The sun just went down, and it is pitch black. There's no Netflix, no phone, no endless scrolling. There's just you, the flames, and this thick, choking smoke curling directly into your face. And somewhere, at some point, one of your ancestors looked at that smoke and thought, wait, what if I did that on purpose? Welcome to the real story of how humans discovered smoking. We're not talking about cigarettes, cigars, or modern tobacco companies. We're talking about the very first time a human being intentionally inhaled something burning. And here's the mind-blowing part. Smoking didn't start with tobacco, and it didn't start with civilization. The desire to inhale smoke might actually be hardwired into our biology on a level so deep that it predates our entire species. Let's look at the evidence because it's absolutely wild. Before you can smoke anything, you need fire, and fire has been our roommate for a very long time. The oldest confirmed evidence of controlled fire comes from a site called Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, dating back roughly 1 million years. Archaeologists didn't find the remains of a wildfire there. They found contained, deliberate plant ash inside a dark cave. A million years ago, we weren't even Homo sapiens yet. That was Homo erectus, our earlier cousin. They sat around fires to cook, stay warm, and survive the dark, and that means they breathed in smoke every single day for hundreds of thousands of years. But when you burn organic matter, you don't just get smoke. Some plants, when they burn, release a cocktail of psychoactive chemicals that interact directly with the nervous system. In other words, our ancestors were accidentally getting high around the campfire, and they had absolutely no idea why they suddenly felt amazing. This isn't just a funny theory. Anthropologists take it very seriously. The human brain has an entire system called the endocannabinoid system, which regulates mood, memory, and appetite. We have receptors perfectly shaped to respond to compounds found in plants like cannabis. So, thousands of years ago, when a human first inhaled smoke from a burning cannabis plant by accident, their brain wasn't confused. Their brain was like, oh, hello, I've been waiting for you. The oldest direct archaeological evidence of intentional cannabis smoking comes from the Pamir Mountains of Central Asia, around 500 BC. Scientists excavated ancient burial sites and found wooden braziers with superheated stones and plant residue. This wasn't wild hemp used for making ropes. This was bred cannabis with unusually high THC content burned during a funeral ritual. Even the famous Greek historian Herodotus, writing in the 5th century BC, described a nomadic people called the Scythians. He wrote that they would build small tents, throw hemp seeds onto hot stones, crawl inside, and howl with pleasure from the smoke. For centuries, people thought Herodotus was exaggerating, until modern archaeologists dug up Scythian burial mounds and found the exact bronze braziers and hemp residue he described. Now, what about tobacco? Tobacco is native to the Americas, meaning it was completely unknown to Europe, Asia, or Africa until Christopher Columbus showed up in 1492. Columbus famously wrote in his journal about seeing indigenous people walking around inhaling smoke from glowing sticks and letting it out through their noses. But in the Americas, tobacco use wasn't a casual habit. Chemical residues found in ancient pipes proved tobacco was used at least 3,500 years ago, and maybe even 12,000 years ago in places like Utah. But here is the major difference. To indigenous cultures, tobacco was sacred. It was medicine. It was a tool used by shamans to communicate with the spirit world, bind treaties, and heal the sick. Smoke was seen as a living carrier of prayers traveling upward. You didn't chain smoke tobacco while waiting for a bus or watching TV. The disaster happened when European industrialists took this sacred, disciplined ritual and turned it into a mass-marketed, chemically engineered, addictive consumer product. A shaman in 500 BC and a modern tobacco executive use the same plant, but they share absolutely nothing else in common. So, why are humans like this? Why do we seek out substances to alter our minds? Anthropologists point to something called the intoxication hypothesis. UCLA psychopharmacologist Ronald Siegel proposed that the pursuit of intoxication is actually a fourth, biological drive, right alongside hunger, thirst, and sex. And it's not just humans. Elephants actively seek out fermented marula fruit to get drunk. Reindeer in Siberia deliberately eat psychedelic mushrooms and run around acting completely wild. In our early history, sharing an altered state of consciousness through smoke circles wasn't just a party, it was ancient social technology. It synchronized brain activity, increased trust, and created deep tribal cohesion that helped humans survive dangerous environments together. So, when did ancient humans start smoking? The physical evidence says 12,000 years ago, but the reality is it's probably as old as fire itself. Next time you sit around a summer bonfire and catch a whiff of wood smoke, just remember, you are participating in a thread of human experience that has remained unbroken for 100,000 years. We are humans, and fire, smoke, and breath are what made us who we are.